Good evening, I'm Nate. I'm joined by James, Connor, Nolan, and Emily. We're here from the University of Denver, here tonight to issue a buy recommendation on Advanced Energy Industries, or AE for short. Through our analysis, we reached an $85 one-year target price, which represents 19% upside potential from the closing on January 13th. This is driven by three key points. The first being the recent acquisition of Artisan, which enables growth in new segments and allows AE to weather the cyclicality of the semiconductor industry. Two, AE's ability to maintain their industry-leading position thanks to their competitive R&D and their sticky customers. And three, AE's power supplies are critical to building our next generation of infrastructure. AE's power supplies take raw power from the grid, convert that into precise and usable energy, and deliver that to hundreds of end-market applications. From anything from medical lasers, where the laser needs to be powered by a specific and reliable source of energy. If not, it could cause lasting damage to the patient or blindness. One of the biggest things that struck us through our primary research was not only how important AE's products are to these types of applications, but also how integrated they are in our daily lives. From the semiconductors in your phone to the mirror coating on your sunglasses or in your headlights, AE's power supplies made that happen. They have a global reach thanks to their powerful portfolio of IP. 52% of the revenue comes from the Americas, another 13% from the European Union, European, Middle Eastern, and African markets, and lastly, 35% comes from Asia.
Since their founding in 1981, Advanced Energy ingratiated themselves in a critical spot in the technological supply chain, serving hundreds of original equipment manufacturers, or OEMs, such as Lam and Applied Materials, who they've been working with for over 20 years. These OEMs then supply the equipment manufacturers who create the devices that create the products we use in our everyday lives. Since taking the helm in 2007, Yuval Wasserman has integrated a series of strategic acquisitions seamlessly. AE also encourages innovation, as characterized by Isabel Yang, their Chief Technology Officer, whom herself holds 3 patents. AE also drives sustainable business practices. Advanced Energy just completed the acquisition of Artisan, which fundamentally changes the company by doubling their size by revenue, tripling their serviceable addressable market, and adding 2 new business segments. We expect to see $60 million in synergies over the next 5 years, and also an additional $75 million in customer relationships on top of the $33 million that AE already has. This acquisition also accomplishes 2 important goals for Advanced Energy: diversifying their customer mix and also their product base. After the acquisition of Artisan, Advanced Energy will operate in 4 main business segments. The first will be in the semiconductor equipment industry, with a broad CAGR of 4.1%. This has historically been the largest revenue driver for AE, however, is now shifting to industrial and medical, with a broad CAGR of 3.8%. This is going to be their largest revenue segment going forward. One of the newest industries to AE is telecom and networking, with a small broad CAGR of 0.3%. This is just due to the established nature of the business. Lastly, we have data center computing, with an impressive CAGR of 15%. This is due to the technological advancements in hyperscale computing. Advanced Energy is number 1 or number 2 in all industries they serve. This dominant market position is driven by the competitive nature of their business, which is also their largest risk. If they lose any design wins, they could lose a customer for a number of years. Buyer bargaining power is also a considerable risk to Advanced Energy, as they hold no formal contracts with their customers, not even their 2 largest customers, Applied Materials and Lam Research.
These markets are categorized by rapid technological development, but AE's technology is and will remain ahead of the curve because of their R&D spending being 2.6 times higher than the peer group average. This investment in technology has allowed AE to develop a series of product lines that will drive future growth, such as Power Insight that utilizes data analytics and products that have demonstrated ability to work in extreme environments. Part of AE's competitive advantage comes from their commitment to customers. AE has long-lasting relationships with a number of large customers, and though they have had a historically concentrated customer mix, they will be diversifying that customer mix with the acquisition of Artisan. AE demonstrates this commitment to customers by offering things such as global service and repair centers, as well as the ability to design products specifically for customer needs. We expect to see revenues over $1.2 billion in 2020, growing over $1.5 billion through 2024. In 2018, semiconductor equipment was the largest segment, followed by industrial medical and then services. Going forward, we expect to see industrial medical becoming the largest segment, followed by semiconductor equipment, data center computing, and then telecom and networking. Looking at the companies that we see as competitors to AE, we see that AE is driving gross margins well above their peers because of their efficient management of cost of goods sold. Going down to the bottom of the income statement, we see that AE is again driving impressive margins and will continue to do so because of their effective operational management and ability to integrate companies into their operating model.
Now switching our focus to AE's historical breakdown of return on equity, we see a large decrease following the Q3 2019 earnings announcement, where the first 20 days of Artisan operations were reported with the firm. This created some immediate impacts to the balance sheet and some lag effects to the income statement, specifically to the operations attributed to the new acquisition of telecom, networking, and data center computing. Over the next 3 years, we expect to see ROE rising back up to a level of 26% as the firm is better able to utilize these additional assets and more effectively manage their margins as previously mentioned. From 2016 to 2018, the semiconductor industry saw large and positive growth, which drove over $200 million in free cash flow to the firm by the end of 2018 for AE. In 2019, our team believes there to be a negative free cash flow to the firm, due in part to two major factors. The first being the slow recovery from the semiconductor downswing, and the second being the immediate impacts of additional working capital and capital expenditures on the firm from the acquisition. Over the next 5 years, we expect to see a strong cash flow performance driven in part by three major factors. The first being operational excellence, the second being the diversification of revenues, and the third being the decreased need for capital-intense requirements overall. Following the acquisition, AE's operating environment has drastically shifted, which has now presented two more significant risks to the firm, of that being technological changes, and the second being the acquisition synergies and integration risks associated with Artisan. However, AE's strong management team, history of positive M&A performance, and their ability to create lasting and intimate relationships with their suppliers and customers have all proven to be mitigating factors in the past and will continue to do so moving forward. Altogether, our team believes that AE will continue its profitability and performance well into the future as it benefits directly from diversification of revenue and its continued pursuit of market leadership.
In full year 2019, we expect earnings per share to decrease to $2.27. This is because of the Artisan acquisition costs. But over the next 12 months, we expect the earnings per share to increase to $3.51. We expect this increase to continue through 2024 for an expected earnings per share of $6.63. In our multiple analysis, we chose to use a PE multiple. We felt this was the best metric as AE is currently undergoing major growth and structural change within their company right now. Our comparable company multiple is 19 times. We added a premium of 2 times to AE to account for their market leadership and diversification. This gives us a total PE multiple of 21 times and a target share price of a little over $74. In 2019, AE took out debt for the very first time, changing their capital structure to 41% debt. They received an impressive LIBOR plus 75 basis points on the funds they borrowed. We estimated our cost of debt to be 2.5%. This was found by averaging the 3-year LIBOR rate, adding 75 basis points, and then configuring a debt schedule. Our terminal value is estimated to be $4.5 billion, giving us a target share price of $88 at our DCF. An 80% weight is applied to the DCF analysis as it accounts for the future Artisan revenues. A 20% weight is applied to the multiple analysis as it is difficult to find a comparable company that operates across the same 4 segments as AE. In a rainy day case, we believe that AE might have trouble with the integration of Artisan, resulting in lower revenues and higher than expected cost of goods sold. In a sunny day case, we believe that Artisan will integrate into AE very quickly and smoothly, resulting in a 27% upside.
So in summary, our $85 target price and 19% upside potential is driven by the 3 key points that we outlined today. The first being the acquisition of Artisan, which enables growth in new segments and allows AE to weather that cyclicality from the semiconductor industry. The second being that AE has an ability to maintain their industry-leading position thanks to their competitive R&D and sticky customers. And lastly, AE's power supplies are ready and willing to power the future. Thank you so much for your time, and I open the floor to questions.
You talked about $60 million in synergies. Could you talk about the reality on the ground, where you see those synergies coming in?
Yeah, so $60 million in deal synergies is kind of just like scratching the surface. Another thing that they're getting is about $75 million in intangibles from Artisan. It's on top of their $33 million that they already had. So they're basically tripling their customer relationship value. But on top of that, they're able to consolidate their manufacturing hubs. So they're going from their current 6 manufacturing hubs down to 3 by 2024. So they're basically just trying to consolidate that footprint, and they're going to be able to cut down on products that don't have quite a profitable margin.
And on the customer customer front? Is there any synergies there?
On the customer front, they're able to cross-sell their products actually. So since it's all power supplies essentially, the current customers that they have, for example, in the semiconductor industry that AE had before Artisan, they're able to take some of those products that Artisan is designing and offer it to those customers and vice versa. So it's kind of just all over the place. It's awesome.
In the scenario analysis you guys did, can you just talk about kind of what assumptions went into the bear case and the bull case in terms of like revenue outlook or margins or just however you got to the upside and downside scenarios?
Yeah, for sure. So in the investors relations presentation that we watched, AE's margins are actually expected to decrease with the Artisan acquisition. Their expected revenues to have $1.2 billion by 2021. We actually slowed this in our base case. But in our best case, we sped it up to be consistent with management expectations, which gave us that $91 share price. But in the worst case, we expected them not to reach $1.2 billion until 2023.
So when you did your base case,